everybody, this is Danny Class. Today we are going to learn some common chord progressions that you might have heard in rock or pop music through the years, and we're going to do an example in G major, but the patterns that I give you are applicable to any key. And then at the end of the video, we'll talk about how you can kind of use this musical idea to help you during the pandemic. So the basic idea here is that there's common chord progressions that you might have heard in various songs, and they have Roman numerals that go along with diatonic harmony. And I kind of zeroed in on the number 10 because I didn't want to make it too few or too many, so I thought 10 would be a good one. But once you know the chords, you're able to kind of use them and play them in various ways. So, and we'll talk about that, but let's go through the chords themselves, and some of these you might know already. We're starting in G major, so the first chord is the G major chord. The chords I'm going to be playing today are going to be all here in the first position for ease, but if you are comfortable with bar chords, you can use different fingerings up and down the fretboard. Okay, so anyway, the first one, the 1 chord is G. The 2 chord is A minor, which I'll play here. The 3 chord is a B minor, which I will play here in a kind of a bar position. This one, I'm adding in an F sharp here. But to play this chord, you want your first finger in front of the 2nd fret in a bar position, and the rest of the fingers added in. And you can play it with the 6th string added. It is part of the chord. It's just a slight, what we call inversion, because you have something else at the lowest note, but that F sharp that I'm adding here on the 6th string is part of the chord. And so, but if you want to be kind of particular, you can just strum it from the 5th string down too. Anyway, this is a B minor. The next chord is a C major. Remember, you always want to make sure your fingers are arched if you're having some muting issues with that open G. So kind of don't flatten your fingers when you finger, but kind of make sure they're kind of curled over like that as best you can. Take some practice for sure. The 5th chord is a D major. The 6th chord is an E minor. And just a quick little theory, interlude. The 6th chord in any diatonic harmony scheme is the relative minor key to the major chord. So our first major chord was G, and so the 6th chord is E minor, and what that tells us is E minor is the relative minor as a key to G major. That pattern holds for the whole guitar. And the 7th chord is an F sharp diminished, which I'm going to play here, which is kind of like a bar chord, like the B minor, but I'm just strumming it from the 6th to the 3rd string, okay? And so the first finger is barred across the 2nd fret, and the 3rd finger is in front of the 3rd fret on the 5th string, and the 3rd finger is in front of the 4th fret on the 4th string. Strum from 6 to 3. Okay. It's not used much, but I actually kind of like it because once it's kind of a leading chord, it wants to go somewhere and resolve, usually back to the root chord, which in this case is back to the G. Okay, so those are the chords, and then I put the patterns that you can use for weeks and months to come on how to play them. But just as one example, let's do Let's do the 1-5. How about 1-5-4-5-1? Okay. Now 1, 5, and the 4, and then back to the 1. Okay. Now to practice these, And I'll put this in the learning plan too. But as far as kind of just learning them, I think it's good to kind of start kind of simple with just kind of 4 simple strums. How about down strums if you're new to this? 4 because that kind of goes with common time, 4/4 time, 4 beats per measure, and it's nice and chill and relaxed. 2, 3, 4 to the 5, to the 4, C major, back to the 5, to the 1. Okay. That's one idea, but of course you don't have to follow that. You can just kind of do whatever feels right. And this kind of gets to what I was thinking about with kind of how to use this right now with the pandemic, because these chord progressions are excellent vehicles, I think, for emotional expression. They're kind of easy vehicles because they're patterns, but music is not just about patterns, it's about kind of how we're feeling. And so if you're feeling, depending on how you're feeling, if you're feeling kind of, relaxed, you can kind of strum these kind of in a relaxed way because perhaps you don't necessarily have to go to work. You might be feeling anxious or stressed because of other issues, so they could be you might want to speed it up, make it more aggressive. And for that matter, if you're a songwriter, you can certainly put all of these progressions to lyrics. They're really perfect for songwriting, especially in this key in G major, which is such a common key. But beyond that, whatever kind of your kind of feeling especially in your right hand for these, I think, is once you have the patterns down, is going to really kind of help you and kind of just get beyond this as being just another exercise, another YouTube video, but as a way to kind of express yourself. So if you're new to this, I would suggest that maybe towards the end of the process, after you kind of practice the progressions. Which ones do you like, by the way? Which ones, don't speak to you as much? That can be subjective for sure. And one other thing that I want to add, actually, which is that you can always, mess with whatever you're being taught, right? This is not dogma. This is not sort of, you have to do it one way. And so, for example, the C chord, well, let's mess with that by simply, and it is simple, just taking off your index finger. And now you have a C major chord. Sounds very different enough, it's jazzy. And it's a little more complicated, a little more relaxed. And if that's how you're feeling, then add it in, Back and forth. That's the other thing is not only taking fingers off, but adding, what does, like in the A minor chord, you do have a pinky here. That's just kind of wanting to get in on the action, right? It wants to get in there. It wants to do something, so why not put it on the D and see what happens? Do you like how it sounds? Adds tension, right? And then back, it's sad. And that could definitely work with kind of, how you're feeling right now. So always keep that in mind as you go through and learn that once you kind of learn something, then if you're feeling especially kind of like you want more, but it's still useful, mess with it. Change it up a little bit. Add, subtract some notes, and see how it sounds. And, it's like that old saying, if it feels or if it sounds right, it sounds good, then it is good, then it is right. Okay, so I hope you found that useful. Stay well, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.